Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I am back for Library Friday, where I share generally secondhand books that provide inspiration for creativity, often with a slow stitch embroidering threadwork theme. Today's book is from my bookshelf, and it's one that I think could be really fabulous inspiration for those of us that are planning to take part in Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, the next project starting in July, which is going to be focused on field notes. It will go through the seasons, and we will be doing slow stitching to create essentially our own field journal, is the best that I understand it at the moment, and it will be an accordion style book is what Rachel and Sarah will be showing us, and we'll be getting 3 prompts for each of the seasons, 1 per week with some spare weeks in there as well. So this is a beautiful book that was on my bookshelf. I haven't actually used it, I don't think, for any direct creative inspiration so far, but when I heard the prompt I thought this is going to be a fabulous little resource. I am thinking I will create my field notes focused on Australian, what I'm observing in my own sort of backyard, as it were. And this book is based in the United Kingdom. So I read up a little bit about Janet. And so this book is all focused around, and I hope I pronounce this right, the Itchen River in England. And so Janet grew up and was a youngster in the 1960s and spent hours beside England's Itchen River while her father fished, closely observing the teeming life of the small English stream. Her love of wildlife there and desire to draw what she saw helped inspire her to become an accomplished artist. And so in 1979, she published her nature diary, profiling the life of her beloved river with exquisite watercolor illustrations along with astute observations. And she also added her voice and images to a campaign protesting the extension of a motorway over the river. So that's a bit of history on it, and there's a picture of her on the back as well. So yeah, paintings through the seasons of the year, full of affectionate observation of the animals and flowers she sees around her. So it's got an ISBN, ISBN 1850520003. Looks like it was originally £9.99. But aren't the illustrations just lovely? And they are common things, like I've been seeing all my fungi. These little, I think they're oak leaves here, all sort of the skeletons of them. I'm seeing those at the moment. The blackberry, which is actually featuring in my other piece, my other slow stitch piece, which is over here. I'll try not to bump the camera. It's just funny how sort of, themes come around. So, my beautiful blackberry inspired piece in working, which is for the current Roxy prompt of a slow stitch container. So that's that's Janet. So let me just position it where I can then give you a bit of a flip through, and I might just select some bits and pieces. I haven't had a close. I would have had a close look at it when I first got it, but it's just been sitting on my shelf. So I might bring some things up a bit closer so you can see them as well. Aren't they just lovely little illustrations? So wild carrot, which is the very thing that I collected on the weekend and created this little card myself with. So she has illustrated wild carrot. So that's what it sort of goes from and to that one. And there it is. So mine are photos where, and I might do a separate video to talk about this. I just want to do a bit more experimentation with how I might be then potentially putting this onto fabric as well. So there you go. And I think, what does that say? Scabious, I think, is the purple one. Okay, so I'll just get back in frame so you can see. So the illustrations are just really, really lovely, aren't they? And you could see how, you could definitely transfer that onto some fabric and use that as a bit of a base, and then, stitch into it, or possibly even, paint into it if you just did around the outline. You could then add your own painted detail. So dedicated to her parents and Anthony. So 1979. and then reprinted in 1988. So this is a 1988 reprint. And sweet little insects among common wild thyme. So that's a wild thyme. And sweet little moths. Definitely see these little daisies, little wild daisies, and I just love how she's got all the roots, etc., coming out of them. I hope the lighting's okay this evening. I might just angle. I didn't want to get glare, but I might just try and angle my lights a slight bit over this way. See if that makes it slightly better. It's a sweet little idea, a little map where she's drawn her own key for it. So if you were doing nature field notes inspired by your local area, you could have a little map. And then she's got some of the different species that she's observed in different areas. Lovely idea. The River Itchen rises near the village of Cheriton, Hampshire, and is about 30 miles long. Beautiful little birds down there. I do love birds. I think there'll definitely be quite a few birds in my field notes. Even if we only get one bird prompt, I'm sure there'll be many more birds. So that's the river and a little church. Lovely reeds where we were walking on the weekend around the lake. I was actually taking some photos of reeds as well. So yeah, definitely commonality. And lots of insects and animal life. The upper reaches of the river. Some parts of the picture, you look at them and your brain sort of thinks they're a photo, but no, it's actually painting. And then they must be freshwater crays maybe, or yabbies perhaps. I can't see in the description what those exactly are. And then yeah, just more beautiful paintings. Just all the shading, and I just love yeah, the more realistic, the non-perfect, so the leaves with holes in them and things like that. And as I've been thinking about the project, I've been thinking about things at all the stages. So even the seed head that might not look that, I mean, I think it's actually quite architectural and lovely, but it is browning and it's decaying essentially. So. And then the diary. So starts with January, beautiful moth, and then just these tiny little drawings and little handwritten, I assume these are handwritten, yeah, descriptions that go with them. It's a pity these aren't actually a tiny bit larger. Another beautiful reed. And so different points, so January 10th, 11th, 15th, so it just sort of jumps through the dates, not every day. And this is right up my alley, this little sort of mossy, licheny. And she's even got the little caddis larvae-like creatures. Emerald green, tiny mound? No. Not sure. Oh no, turf. Emerald green turf found by the river. Just getting used to reading her writing. Some little spiders. And so yeah, in this case she's depicted the spider the right way up and then the spider upside down. And I've been watching a few people that do nature journals, just in like paper books, and just absorbing a few things that they say in theirs as well. And I've been watching John Muir-Laws, and he was sort of talking about how in a nature journal you use words, you use pictures, you use numbers. And so you'll include things like measurements of what you're seeing, And he's saying it's skills anyone can learn, and it will make you more curious. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. So that's why I want to start sort of, playing, and that's why I'm sharing some of this inspiration. So if you want to start playing too, you've got some things to go with. So this is a beautiful double page of all those dried sort of seed heads, beautiful shapes and colours of riverside vegetation during early February. And so I have to remember with this that it's sort of, flipped 6 months. 6 months apart from us. And so then February, beautiful birds, and just these lovely decaying leaves, again seed heads, little shells, branches and feathers, just beautiful. And the bulrushes, disintegrating and catching in the air. Isn't it beautiful how she's captured the movement? And again, right up my alley, all these little ferny growths and lichens and moss. This robust moss thrives in the damp ditch, harbouring many little creatures and innumerable spiders. I've seen the moss simply covered with gossamer webs of different shapes and sizes. So beautiful writing as well as beautiful imagery. So I can definitely see myself doing something in my field notes. Moss and lichen and possibly three-dimensional. So I'm just thinking how I can incorporate some three-dimensional elements as well. Lots of beautiful, those sort of bracket fungi or plate fungi, and those tiny little ones which have the little sort of seed heads or spores. Definitely these look like familiar types of lichens and mosses and fungi that I would see up in the Dandenongs here. Definitely those little sort of orange fungi. There's so many out at the moment. It is a fungi fancier's paradise at the moment here in Melbourne, which makes sense at the time of year if we do flip it 6 months apart. That's where we are at in our seasons. And then a grey squirrel. So we don't have squirrels here, so I don't think I'll be including any squirrels in my field notes. I know my friend Martha, she has squirrels in her backyard. Now I do see one of these in my future, the dandelion, because Travis absolutely adores eating the flowers of dandelions, and in fact the stems as well. And I have looked up, and it's actually a very nutritious food. So Travis can have his fill of dandelions as long as I know that an area's not been sprayed or got anything on it. So in a nice lush park, I let him have his fill. I just have to make sure in summer that there's no bees or anything sitting on the dandelions. So I think and I think they're beautiful flowers. I love the bright yellow, and then I love when they get their seed heads. Obviously don't love them in the garden when they self-seed, but in parks and things, they're an interesting flower. And then a tiny little water snail. So again, it's just at different scales, but trying to capture things. I think generally in nature journals they try and capture things at the scale, but then do little sort of zoom-ins on things. So just so much to look at them, from the little larva to the little water grouse. Is that a grouse or a water something? I'm going to have to get better at reading Janet's running writing. Tiny little flower amongst what looks like lichen, and another little sort of seed head, willow twigs. And then into April. So little centipedes, they're insects, and she's just capturing the outlines of them. So again, interesting to think about how you might do some things as coloured up pieces, others might be just little sketches with thread, for example. A nest, definitely see a nest. I've got some beautiful nest stamps as well. And then a cute little ladybug there. Sorry, my belly's making funny noises, digesting dinner. And some of the beautiful blooms, just incredible the level of detail that is in these. So I'm just trying to get it so that you can see it without glare. Isn't that lovely? The blackthorn and just the tiny ants and tiny little spiders. And hollowed out hazelnuts litter the wood. So animals are obviously feeding on the hazelnuts. Probably the squirrels. And then, is that male catkin? I've got those here. I've definitely seen something that looks similar to that. Grey cello. I mean, because we do have a lot of introduced English species here in Australia as well. And so some bracket fungi, and she says a rather ungainly weevil which crept out of the bracket fungi. So she's obviously sitting there sketching, or maybe she's taken it back with her. Looks like she's sketching it while it's in situ. And then yeah, some little weevils come crawling out. Holly leaves. Fabulous. And then fish and bees, and just the sketches, the delicate little sketches of bees as well. Oh no, they look more like, actually they look more like the wasp bodies, I think. Are they wasps? I don't think she's labelled what they are, and I can't immediately see in the writing, but they do look more like a wasp body to me than a bee body. The cuckoo flower definitely looked familiar to me. I just didn't know it by that name, or by Zaddy's smock as a name, but I have definitely seen the ones with these little like vein-like formations. And then this beautiful, and you can see the little, they look like little pine, the little pine seed heads, because we have a gigantic pine in the park behind Mum and Dad, and they used to come flying down into our pool in summer. And the wild daisies, yeah, definitely a lot is familiar, even though this is from England. Now that's a bumblebee. Yeah, the others were definitely wasps. They had the wasp-like bodies. And then beautiful blossoms. Oh, bird. A pigeon. Yeah, I thought it was a pigeon. Had that pigeony look. But just look at the exquisite detail on the feathers, for example. You would think that was a photo if you were looking at it, I think. Even the eye and the little glistening. And that's a female pheasant, which we don't have as a, yeah, it's not a wild sort of animal here. Cross section of a stem, so again that's just an interesting thing to think about, not just capturing plants just in their immediate appearance, whether it's a cross section, whether it's taking apart a flower to understand it. I know that's something, was it Jennifer Cliston that speaks about that? Or was it Fleur Woods? No, I think it was Fleur. No, it was Fleur. It was Fleur. Male toads, little toads. Don't love toads. Definitely don't love cane toads, which is what we have in Australia, as well as other toads, I think. Or are cane toads the only introduced toad? I'm not sure actually. Studies of butterflies feeding on the Bagella. And so there's quite faint, hopefully you can see them, quite faint little sketches there. So little working drawings, and then some that are coloured in or some that are partially coloured. I guess so she could remember and maybe then paint them when she got back from her walks and observations. And then we're into May. Isn't this beautiful? The Marsh marigold. Look at the gorgeous detailing on the leaves. Sweet little ducklings, we definitely see these. And what's this one? A reed warbler bird. Very sweet. So yeah, definitely the river is the key focus, but then all the wildlife and vegetation around. A little nymph, and presumably this is a trout. And then some more little drawings of little insects. Oh, this is a garden or diadem spider. And a coot's nest. A grey wagtail. We have our own wagtails, but I don't think they look quite like that. Although maybe I'm just thinking, because often you'll see them with ours are well, we call them willy wagtails, but I'm not sure what species they are. But their tails are usually held up in the air and sort of dancing around. And then we've got some more moths and butterflies. What's this little drawing? Some of them are so small. Oh, just a back view. So yeah, just showing the the moths in different views. Real nature studies. Lovely page with different reeds, water horsetail, just the different seed heads, and again the little studies, the little sections done of some of them, the seed heads at different stages, all shown in the one drawing. Just amazing detail. Like, look at that, and just the coloration, even just to make it look so realistic. And then I just love how she's combined some that she hasn't filled in, but I guess you can see more easily the texture when it's not filled in, because she's actually drawn the texture in. Yes, they were at the park on the weekend. The spear thistle. We always call them Scotch thistle, but that again could just be a nickname. Or it could just be a slightly different variety. Scarlet Pimpernel or Shepherd's Weather Glass. I'm not sure if we see those here in Australia. Definitely see, what's that? Brindleweed. Got something very similar to that. And the currant or magpie moth. Not sure if we get that moth variety. Sorry, I should give you a closer up look at the detail, because the detail is just exquisite. And then June. So I've got the rose, the common hawthorn, the elder. We definitely get the elder sambucus, which people make cordial and syrups, etc. out of. You do have to treat it the right way. Dog rose. Can't quite again read. I don't think it's a peacock, but it's some sort of pea bird. Silverweed, and I'll try and get it without the glare for you. Just all the veins and things, the detail. Hedgehog. Now we don't get hedgehogs, we have echidnas here in Australia. Little beetles, I have seen similar ones, and stag beetle. Again, these are just little stitches. Line drawings, but quite exquisitely detailed. I love these half-page spreads. They're beautiful. So much to look at. I'll definitely come back to this in more detail. But I figured if I give you a look at the book, you might be able to find it at the library. I don't know if it's still in print, but great if you can find something at a library and just take some inspiration from it. Or you can just take some inspiration looking at this video. Little mousey, or that could be a hedgehog as well, actually. And then the swans and cygnets, little baby swans. Maybe I'll give you a closer up look at those two. Beautiful. All the lovely flowers. Some of them look familiar to me, some might be different species. And then a mole. Now we don't have moles either here. We have other creatures that live down holes. Wombats, much bigger than a mole. Grasshoppers, definitely have those. Then we're into July. Oh, so yep, that's a wasp. So yeah, it's that longer body, that sort of sharper body. Give a closer look at those as well. I keep getting sort of dragged into looking at the text, and then I remember that I'm videoing. Need to share the love. Meadow Sweet, Dark Marlene, Red Shank Polygonum. Just a little sketch of a little bird down there. And Yellow Flag Iris. I do love my irises. Particularly love the purple ones. Tiny little bird. Some sort of finch. 6-spot burnet moth. Another one of the lovely spreads. Yarrow, definitely have that. St. John's wort. Yeah, so a lot of these look familiar. Just don't know the names by necessarily the names in here. We've got spider webs and leaves and fauna. Beautiful flowers again. The bramble, honeysuckle. Just exquisite. And then August, more moths, but on reeds. Again, I've been seeing that. Yeah, I don't think I'll be necessarily putting the little larvae of things in my book. I might have some sitting on a leaf. Little eggs on a leaf might be okay. Caterpillars. Do love my dragonflies. And just, yeah, all the different studies from different angles. Got some more of the wasps. Don't even feel like wanting to touch them. My hand jumps away. And then eggs, little eggs. And then back to a beautiful spread of the water meadow plants, summer 76. Before I was born. Beautiful little snails, little creatures, butterflies, frogs or toads, and then got all the names of them down the side. Isn't that lovely? Moths. Or insects. I won't dwell on every page, I'll just sort of jump in at some of the beautiful flower pages. Wild thyme. fragrant orchid, wild basil. Lots of lovely inspiration. Got toads and butterflies. Gorgeous dragonfly. Would go well with those other little studies. Look at the detail on the wing. Stunning. And then we're into September. Oh wow, look at this fungi collection. That is lush. Decaying and lush, I say. Little lichens and mosses and ferns. Definitely get those ferns. I love this. This will be wonderful inspiration actually. I'm surprised I haven't pulled it out already for some of my texture and fibre art pieces. Nature's textures. Caterpillars, those hairy caterpillars, quite bright yellow they are. The mountain ash, plentiful by the river. Yeah, we definitely have those as well. I just love how she even depicts the little vine growing up it and the difference in the colour of the stem. And again, she's worked some of it in grey or in pencil, I guess, and then some has been coloured in. And some of it hasn't even been sort of fully sketched out. I assume there would have been leaves potentially added further to that. October, the beautiful blackberries. Don't those just look like they're glistening? Almost like you can pick them off the page. Little snail, now in hibernation behind a peacock. So again, hasn't fully sketched out the little snail, has just added sort of, yeah, done some of it in grayscale and then added a bit of colour to the body. This was in the book when I originally got it. It's someone's little sketches, I think, taking inspiration from what they're seeing in the book. So I've left it in because I think that's sweet to have past people's little drawings. I'll just show you first of all though what's on the page before I pop it back in. Spindle tree, traveller's joy or old man's beard. Isn't that great? Wonder why it was traveller's joy. Why did it bring joy to travellers? Field rose, sloe or blackthorn. Is that what sloe gin is made out of? S-L-O-E. Take that back into the centre to be enjoyed for another day. And then tiny little illustrations of the little golden body with bright red compound eyes. So I'll just see if I can work out, I think it's described in the text coming over the page. The aquatic flies are hatching on the river mainly around midday, but the blue-winged olives still hatch in the evening. The spinners are now to be seen flying by the river at midday. In midsummer they only made their appearance at dusk. These adult flies are beautiful little creatures with clear transparent wings and long tails. In this, the final stage of their existence, they are unable to either eat or drink, their sole object being to mate and lay their eggs. There you go. And then the duck, the mallard, or the mallard drake, the male duck. They're the ones that I think those wooden carved ones, the mallards, are modelled off. Little seed heads. Just beautifully capturing the leaves at the different stages, right through to the sort of the yellowing and the browning. Little holes in them. Fabulous. And then some more very sketchy, very faint detail. And then duckweed. Some more birds. beautiful purple and green. Doesn't say what that one is. I'm sure it's probably described in the text. And we've got a little centipede or millipede. Probably not a centipede. It doesn't have a 100. The leaves of the wild carrot. Ah, there we go. The Dorcas carota, which I observed. I don't think the leaves when I was looking at them were this colour, but maybe that happens at a different time of year, or that might be a different variety, because I did read there were a lot of different varieties. And then we've got the common holly, which for us we don't at Christmas have the the berries out. We will have the holly, but we use because we usually put it on the top of Mum's ice cream Christmas pudding, and Dad sets it alight with brandy. But we usually use cherries as our berries. So we have the holly, fresh holly, but cherries for berries. So again, she's sketched out the outlines and just partially started to colour in, but not coloured in the whole thing. I think because it then provides a really good sort of study of the leaf when it's just in outline form. And finally, and so yeah, she's just studied through that time the ripening of this this fruit or this seed, and that is the book. So hopefully that provided you with some some lovely inspiration. It's quite a big book. As I say, I haven't looked online to see whether it is available, but maybe try your library for all of these sorts of things, or just draw on the inspiration of what you can find online. I have said to people you can definitely find things in libraries, free collections. A lot of them have sort of vintage and antique botanic drawings and other things which are fabulous. I do love the seed head of the dandelion there and the fungus. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I will let you go. I'm now going to do some stitching into my next Roxy Journal of Stitchery container, which will be a larger hexagon designed in my head, and I think it's going to work, but I need to get stitching and see if it will, and then I'll share a video with you of that, as well as further stitching on my slow stitch container, my sort of oval one inspired by a poem with those beautiful blues and blackberries. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great weekend when you get to it, and I will speak to you soon. Bye everyone.